It's good to speak with you today, Steve. Looking forward today to hearing your views on freight brokering.
Thank you, Dustin.
Can you first provide a brief background of yourself?
Sure. I have been in the freight brokerage business for 40 plus years. I started when I was a young guy, prior to deregulation in the U.S., which took place in 1980. And we started a brokerage business back then that we grew quite successfully, and we ended up selling it to an employee stock ownership plan back in 1995. And the employees took over the business and built upon what we had started and did very well for themselves. Since then, I've been involved in a couple of different brokerage businesses, both as an owner and as an employee, and spent a brief period of time, about 3 years, in the publishing industry. So that's my background.
Oh, and you mentioned that you wrote a book on freight brokering. Why did you write that book?
Well, I wrote the book over the holiday season last winter, and a fellow had encouraged me to write a book based on my experiences, and I said, you know, what do I have to say? I'm just a dumb freight broker from Minneapolis. And then I just started to think about the fact that there was no books out there directed towards people who owned and operated a brokerage business, freight brokerage business. And with roughly 7,000 or 8,000 different brokers out there, I thought that book might be necessary. There's been plenty of books written about the mechanics of getting a broker's license and an insurance policy and what kind of forms and documents you use. But there was literally nothing about dealing with the general management issues of running a brokerage and how those impact the life of the broker and the owners. So that's why I decided to do it. It's not a lengthy book. It's not War and Peace. It's about 80 pages. But I think it covers the broad spectrum of being in business for yourself in the brokerage business.
What are some of the challenges of being in the brokerage business?
Well, in the current marketplace, one of the challenges is cash flow. I guess cash flow has always been an issue, but it's gotten to be a much bigger challenge as technology has come to the forefront and as information has become much more current. A broker now is much more of a financial institution than they were just a transportation broker back in the day. So I think that's probably one of the bigger challenges facing every small to medium-sized brokerage right now. The other challenges are I kind of plagiarized and created topics around people, process, and product. And I think the huge challenge for brokers today is finding people. And for a lot of folks, it's knowing how to treat people the right way, to get them on your side, to get them engaged in the company, to get them thinking about how what they do will impact the success or struggle of the brokerage business. Certainly other challenges include legal challenges. There's been a rash of cases in the last decade of brokers getting involved in personal injury claims involving vehicle accidents and being charged with negligent hiring of motor carriers. And that goes to the heart of the process. Carrier selection for a broker is extremely important, and it's not only for their business protection but for the protection of their customers as well. So those are pretty much the tough stuff.
Are there new opportunities in this business?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked that, because only recently have I found this out. But there's been about 2,000 new broker licenses issued from the FMCSA in the last 18 to 24 months, and depending on whose estimate you believe, there's somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000 active brokers out there right now. So that would indicate to me that there's a lot of people, entrepreneurial type people, who have decided to get into the brokerage business and provide a service for shippers. The, um, the field is full of competitors, obviously, with that number of companies participating in the market. But the market is extraordinarily large, and there's plenty of opportunity out there for people to start and build a brokerage business.
And do you have any recommendations on how to get started?
Sure. I think that having a knowledge of the transportation industry is absolutely critical. There's a perception, I think, that brokering is a simple matter of you go to an electronic load board and you post up a load that you've got from some customer, and the phone will ring and you'll find a truck and you'll make it move. You'll cover it and you'll make your margin and everybody will be happy. One of the key roles that a broker serves is being an expert in transportation. The typical shipper, especially if it's a small and mid-sized enterprise, the shipper, the person making the freight buying decision, has got 3 or 4 other jobs. They're running a warehouse. They're an accountant. They're doing something other than just watching transportation. So I think that having a knowledge of the transportation industry is absolutely critical to making yourself a full-service resource for your customers. So it's I think that's probably the most important thing. Second critical factor is financial capability. If in my day, when we first started in brokering, it was quite easy to start a brokerage with nothing, 0 capital. Today, it's in the mid-6 figures that somebody's going to need to get started, at least access to that kind of money. Primarily because you're paying the carriers much more quickly than we paid them back in 1980.
And do you have any final recommendations for people in this business?
Yes, my biggest recommendation is be proud to be a broker. We've gone through a period of time, we've been going through it for the last 4 decades, where the term broker, freight broker, has negative connotations. And I think it's an honorable business. It's a business that wouldn't exist if there wasn't a compelling need in the market for it to exist. So I urge all kinds of people who are in this industry to take pride in what you do. And by doing that, you're going to be a much better broker.
And thanks for sharing today.
Dustin, thank you very much, sir.